once upon a time, not in my time and not in your time, but a long time ago, in a country far away from here that they now call America, there lived an old man, and he lived in a big city. He didn't really like living in the city. So as he got older, he decided he was going to change how he lived. So he sold up everything he owned and he moved to the mountains. And when he got there, he bought 3 dogs, and he called those dogs I Know, You Know, and Calico. And he decided he was going to be a trapper. Now, a trapper is somebody who traps animals using snares and things like that. They're not allowed to do it anymore, but in those days they were. He was going to be a trapper. He was going to trap animals for their skins and sell them. And he bought a cabin way up in the mountains, away from everybody else. So off he went. And he was quite successful to start off with. And one winter, he went to check his traps, and he found in one of his traps the most beautiful and lusciously soft tail. It was so long and so soft. He'd never seen anything like it before. So he took it out the trap and he took it back home. Now that night, it was really cold, so he wrapped the tail around himself and he snuggled up in his bed. And he sent his 3 dogs, they slept out on the porch. So there he was, just snuggling down, just going off to sleep. And then he heard. Taili-poo, Taili-poo, give me back my Taili-poo. And he shouted out for his dogs, I know, you know, Calico, see 'em off. And the dogs took off from the porch and they ran down the garden. Row, 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 row. And then they turned around and they scampered right back up the porch, right past him in the doorway and into the lounge. Damn varmint, said the old man, and he went back to bed. Well, the very next night, it was even colder, and he took his tail that he'd found and he wrapped it round himself and he went to put the dogs out on the porch. Now, this night, the dogs would not go out on the porch. They refused. They insisted on staying in the lounge. Oh, he says, what do I keep you for? Anyway, off he went to bed, snuggled up in his nice soft tail. Well, just as he was getting to sleep, he heard the noise again. Taili-poo, Taili-poo, give me back my Taili-poo. And he ran out of his bedroom and he opened the door. He shouted to his dogs, I know, you know, Calico, see 'em off. And I know, you know, and Calico. They ran out onto the porch. They went to go down the steps. And then he heard them go, boo, 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 boo. And they ran back past him, through the lounge, into the bedroom, and hid underneath the bed. Well, the 3rd night was even colder. And he took the tail, he wrapped it around himself, and he snuggled up in his bed. Now, this night, those 3 dogs would not even go into the lounge. They went underneath the bed, and they wouldn't come out. Damn varmint, he said. Well, anyway, he settled down to sleep. In the middle of the night, he heard that noise again. Taili-poo, give me he jumped out of bed and he said to the dogs, Idle, Uno, Calico, see 'em off. Now, I know Uno and Calico. They were sensible dogs. They stayed underneath the bed while he reached underneath the bed and he pulled the dogs out and he got to the front door and he pushed them out the door. And the dogs started very, very cautiously. They looked around and then they yelped and they took off down the garden. Darn varmints, he said to himself, slammed the door, boom, and went back to bed. Now, that might have been the end of the tale, but it's not. About 2 weeks later, the people in the village down at the bottom of the mountain, who usually saw the trapper about once a week, started to ask each other, have you seen him? No, I haven't seen him. Have you seen him? No, I haven't seen him. Well, he is an old man. Maybe we should, go and check on him. I mean, I know he's a bit crotchety and that, but we ought to make sure he's all right. So off they went up the mountain. Now, usually when they came into the clearing that was outside of his house, those dogs of his that everybody knew would come bounding out and would chase anybody off. So they got to the clearing and they stopped. They listened. No dogs. Well, that's a bit odd, they said to each other. Well, okay, well, let's go and see what's going on. And they got to the steps of the porch and they listened again. No dogs and no old man. So they gradually took slowly the steps up the porch, crossed to the front door, and as they put their hand on the front door opened. And they looked in. Still no dogs. Well, they were arguing with each other now about who was going to go in first. Oh, go on. You're the oldest. You go in first. You've got to check he's okay. Okay. So he went in. Nobody in the lounge. He got to the bedroom door and he opened the bedroom door, and there on the bed was nothing at all. Well, that's a bit strange, they said to each other. Where on earth is he? And where are his dogs? Well, this is a mystery. We'll have to go back down to town and decide what we're going to do. As they came out of the house, down the steps, they heard way up in the mountains a very strange noise. Teely-poo, teely-poo, I've got me back my teely-poo. And they caught a glimpse of a very strange animal, followed by an old man crouching down and chasing after it, going across the mountain. And that is the end of my story. Or it could be. If you'd like to hear a different ending, just hang on a minute. I'll be right back. Now, you know I said when they went into the house there was nobody there. Actually, that's the story I tell to the very little children, the ones who might be a bit frightened. This is what really happened. As they came into the lounge, no dogs, no old man. And they came a bit closer. And as they came into his bedroom, there on the bed was the old man. And he was dead. Oh dear, said the people from the town. Well, he was an old man, these things happen. We better make sure we give him a proper funeral. We'll have to go back down to the town and have to get a cart and come back up and load him onto it, and we'll make sure he gets a good Christian burial. So they decided that was what they were going to do. And as they left the house, they were coming down the steps. they heard, way off in the distance, that noise. Taili-poo, Taili-poo, I got me back my Taili-poo. And that's the real end to the story. Now don't have nightmares. Night night.